If you're over 65 and you'd like to get stronger with minimal equipment, then using resistance bands can be a great option. They take up minimal space, they're inexpensive, and you can take them with you pretty much anywhere. In fact, many brands like these ones from Ring come with a portable storage case, so you can throw them in a suitcase if you're going on vacation. Now, there are all kinds of different exercises that you can do with resistance bands, but you can pretty much work your entire body. This one came with a workout poster that shows lots of different exercises. I'm going to go through some of these as well as some that aren't included on the poster. So let's dive in. Now, before we start the exercises, just a quick note on choosing the right resistance. You want to choose a resistance that feels challenging for you. You can do that by selecting a different color band, like a light, a medium, or a heavy. You can also do that with how much tension you put on the band. So for example, if I try to stretch the band like this, it's fairly easy. If I choke up to a shorter distance here, it becomes significantly harder. So you can vary the resistance significantly just by where you grip on the band. Now for all of these, I'm going to do these without tying these to anything, attaching these to anything. You can certainly attach them to a door or a bed frame if you want to do exercises, but I'm going to show them entirely where you don't have to tie them to anything. So let's start out with legs and then we'll work our way up the body here. For the first one, you can do calf raises. We're going to start down by the ankles. Make sure you stand with the balls of your feet on the band and then raise up on your toes. Make sure that it's slightly in front of the balls of your feet so that it doesn't pop up when you raise your heels. To show that from the side here, you're going to make sure it's underneath the balls of your feet, raise up on your toes, and then come back down. So you're raising the resistance of your body weight along with the resistance of the band. If you want to make it a little harder, just choke down farther on the band and then go up and down. Now, as far as number of repetitions, you're just going to have to go until you get tired with these. You want to work your muscles to fatigue, and since we can't precisely control the resistance with bands, just use a number of repetitions that makes your muscles feel fatigued. So that's the first exercise, the calf raise. Next, we're going to move to hamstrings. And for this, we're going to do a Romanian deadlift. To do this, you'll lean back like this, and you're going to squeeze your glutes and hamstrings, so clenching here, clenching there, and driving the hips underneath of you. Push the hips back, reach down for the floor, push the hips forward. Hips back, hips forward. Note that the spine isn't rounding out and coming up like that. It's staying in a fairly neutral position the entire way through the range of motion. So it should be mostly just a movement at your hips and also moving back and forth at your ankles. So that's the second exercise, the Romanian deadlift. Next, we'll move to a squat. For this one, you want to step out a little wider on the band so it's hips width apart. And depending on how much resistance you need, you can bring the band up to shoulder level like that. That will stretch it a little bit more and make it a little bit harder. Or if you keep the band down by your side, it's not quite as hard. So choose a resistance level that feels challenging for you. From the side view here, bring the bands up to shoulder level, sit your hips back, hips forward, hips back. Now note this is a similar hip hinge to the prior exercise that we did, but you're bending the knees a lot more in the squat. So this moves the knees a lot more versus the deadlift. You're just going back and forth that way with the hips. So that's the squat. Now we'll move up to the upper body. The first exercise is going to be for your chest muscles. You can do this one of two ways. It's essentially going to be a chest press. You'll wrap the band around behind your body like this. Choke up on it until there's a little bit of resistance, and then you just press away like that, making sure it's secure behind your back. You want the band low enough where it's not going to pop up like that, so make sure that you bring it down low enough on your back over top of your elbows this way. If that feels too easy for you, you can also add some resistance by just doing a push-up on the wall. So you put the arms up on the wall like this. I'm going to put this underneath my arms for this one. Place the band on the wall, go into a push-up, and push back and forth like that. So now you have a little bit of your body weight going into the wall as well as the resistance of the band. If that's too easy for you, you can also move down to doing push-ups on a counter or doing push-ups on the floor. You can do knees bent, body weight, or if you want to add additional resistance, if you're really pretty strong and you can do push-ups without any assistance, then just put the band around you. Same as you did with the wall press. And now you're going to use that as additional resistance in addition to your body weight. So lots of different variations that you can do with that, but that all works your chest muscles as well as your shoulders and triceps to some extent. Next, we'll move on to a shoulder press or an overhead press. For this one, you're going to stand on the band like this and bring it up to shoulder level. Now, feet are a little bit narrower than with the squat. You'll want that because you're going to raise it all the way up overhead. And this does put a lot of stretch on the band, so you might need to change to a slightly lighter band if you find this difficult. But then you're just pressing up overhead like that. Do as many repetitions as you can until you get tired. I'm going to turn around so you can see a back view. This isn't just an arm movement here. You actually want to get your shoulder blades moving out and away from your spine with this. It's an entire upper body movement. Pushing up, reaching up as high as you can go, and then coming back down. Push up, and then come back down. Now that's the shoulder press, and that works your shoulders and triceps. So you've already worked your triceps with the chest press and with the shoulder press. That might be enough for some people, but if you want some additional tricep isolation exercises, you can also do a tricep kickback where you step on the band like this, bend over slightly, and go back like that. You can do that with one arm, or it's a little easier when you have one arm on two bands. That actually doubles the resistance. If you have one band in each arm, this is half as hard as the previous one. And that's another good point on resistance. If you do find that the bands are pretty easy, you can double it over, either use two bands or fold one band in half, and that'll make the resistance a little greater yet. So that was a tricep exercise. Now we'll move on to back exercises. There are basically two types of back exercises. There are pulls where you pull towards you like this, like a row, and there are pull down type exercises where you pull from overhead. The overhead pull does become kind of hard if you don't have something to attach this to. You can either loop this over the top of a door frame or tie a knot in it and shut it in the top of a door frame. But if you're not going to use anything like that, you can also do an exercise where you choke in like this, pull down that way, and then come back up. And as you're pulling out to the side, that uses your lat muscles, the ones underneath here, to help pull the arms down. Now you lose resistance down here, so it's not great for that purpose, but it's good if you start up overhead and pull down to about shoulder level. You still get a decent lat workout doing that. For a row, you can again attach this to a door frame to do the row, but if you're looking for a easier version, just sit down on the ground or on a bed, attach it across your ankles here, and choke up as much as you need to, and then you can do rows just like that. Now with rows, you want to squeeze your shoulder blades back together. So notice the shoulder blades are coming back together. It's not just pulling with your arms like this. This is primarily to work your back muscles. So you want to move the shoulder blades back and forth like that while pulling with the arms. Sit up nice and tall, chest out, allow your shoulder blades to round out forward slightly, then squeeze the shoulder blades back together, and then come back down. Squeeze the shoulder blades back together while keeping your chest up. You don't want to round out excessively while doing rows. Keep yourself tall, squeeze the shoulder blades back together, and then come back down. Next, we'll move to bicep exercises. You can put the band underneath your feet. This one's fairly self-explanatory. And then you come up like that. You're gonna make sure that you have an equal amount of band on each side, bending up to shoulder level. You want your elbows pretty much pinched in your sides here. So you don't want your elbows moving back and forth like that. Try to secure your elbows to your sides as you curl up and down that way. So those were some general strengthening exercises with bands. Another really neat thing about bands as compared to free weights is when you're lifting free weight, gravity is your resistance. So it's pushing down on you this way. And so if you do motions like in a side-to-side plane, like this holding a dumbbell, the only resistance is really gravity pushing down and keeping your elbow bent, but you don't really get any resistance in this side-to-side plane. So you can hold a band like this, pull apart that way, and this works on your rotator cuff muscles. This is a very common one for shoulder rehab. Now, this isn't my favorite way to do rotator cuff exercises because most people with shoulder problems have problems up here, not really down here. But another way that you can do that is either stand on the band with one hand or hold it with the opposite hand and then do external rotations up in this direction where you're working closer to shoulder level. And if you can only get to this level comfortably, then just do it there. You can get all the way up comfortably. You can do shoulder external rotations up there. But essentially, you're making your elbow the axis of rotation and rotating your forearm around a fairly stationary elbow and upper arm. The other nice thing about resistance bands is that you can move through diagonal patterns. Again, gravity is always pushing down. So if you are doing an exercise this way, you're only getting the vertical component. But in real life, we move through multiple planes of motion at once. We don't always move like this or straight out to the side like that. So if you're moving through several different planes of motion at once, you can do that with a band where you step on a band with one end. You're going to start across the body here, pull up to an overhead position on the opposite side, and then come back down. So here you're moving through all three planes of motion at the same time, more like a real life way that you would use your shoulder. You can also do the opposite motion. So I'm just going to switch over to the other arm. You can cross across this way where you're starting low on the same side, finishing high on the opposite side. So to see that, again, one was crossing across your body and then finishing high on the same side. The other one was starting low on the same side and then finishing high on the opposite side. Now, one shoulder exercise I did forget to mention earlier, but it is a good one, is standing on the band like this, raising directly out to your sides like this. This is a lateral raise and works on the outer heads of your deltoids. So you have three heads, a front, a middle, and a back head. This works on the middle head or the lateral head of the deltoids. So just raising up to shoulder level like this and coming back down. So that works on the lateral head. If you want to work more on the front head of the deltoid, you'd raise up in front of you like this. And it is good to keep both thumbs pointed up towards the ceiling with this. Just put your shoulder in a little better position than if your thumb's down like that. So you kind of wrap the band around you a little bit. That also helps prevent it from slipping out if you were lifting more like that. And then the next deltoid exercise will be a bent over lateral. This works the rear head. So you bend over like this and then just come out to the sides this way. So raising up there. Now, if you do have trouble with bending over because of lower back issues, you can also do that starting out in front of you like this, and then pulling back towards your chest. And since resistance bands, again, don't depend on gravity for the resistance, you can do it in a standing position without having to be in a bent over lateral position like you would need to do with free weights. And then finally, we're going to go through a core exercise here. You're going to stand on the band with one hand, just twist towards the opposite side like that. Now you don't want to over rotate here because your lower back wasn't really made to rotate, but you can do just a simple rotation like that towards one side. If you want to increase the resistance, bring your arms up like that and then come out that way where you're rotating to one side, and then you would switch legs and then rotate out towards the opposite side. So I hope that gave you some good ideas for what you can do with resistance bands. Really, your imagination is the limit with these, but start out with these exercises and let me know in the comments how they work out for you. And if you did find this video helpful, make sure to give it a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.